Is Shkodra, or also called in English Shkodil. This is where we're staying, or have been staying for the first night. Quite aptly called Rose Garden Hotel, as it has a rose garden inside. Leaving Shkodra towards the beginning of our trek, to the background of typical Albanian music. Stopped for a short break, just to look at the view. This is close to the border with Montenegro.
You will find me.
This is the road that goes right down into the valley, and then down there is the border crossing into Montenegro. The hills on the far side is already Montenegro. This is where we now start to walk. And whichever way we go, it's going to be up. We started walking at a place called Selce. We're heading towards the Selce waterfall. Our first rest of the day after a fairly steep climb from down there. Next to the Selce waterfall. Now standing almost underneath the Selce waterfall. Time for our lunch break. Now a long walk down on a rocky path. Rocks all the way down. It's actually quite hard, much harder actually than going uphill. This is the guest house we're staying at in the small village of Lepush. Looks quite nice, but inside very simple, bunk beds. And off for a new day. This is the remainder of a fortress from the communist period. Hills behind there, the top of the hills is the border.
He wanted to build
500,000 bunkers.
This hill here was military bunkers.
Just waiting. 40 years are waiting for the enemies to come.
ככה אני רוצה כל בוקר.
איפה את רוצה?
רגע, שביל יש פה אבנים.
לא, איזה שביל תראו.
Always one more hill. That's where we started this morning.
טקס פגני לעשות פה?
אני לא יודעת אם אפשר לקפוץ.
לא, יש פה שביל.
זה שלג. צריך לעמוד עם רגליים בשני צידי השביל?
כן, כן.
שלג. קופצים עליי חרגולים, אני רוצה להתלונן.
This is where we are now.
מזמנת להתלונן. וקודם קפץ עליי הכביש.
Yossi,
Right on the border.
walking in this way and you can take a picture of us.
If we look on this side,
But
this is Montenegro.
Like a ceremony.
רגל אחת באלבניה,
Albania, Macedonia.
Montenegro.
Montenegro. Albania, Montenegro.
On the Montenegrin side, we can still see some snow.
זה טקס?
Okay, someone has to photograph it.
I will.
פנים לישר.
We're now at the highest point on the peak of Talianka, which is 2,050 meters high. Looking down into Montenegro.
Hello! You're the first one to come!
אני קצת מפחדת מהדבורים.
From Switzerland,
A lot more people coming up this way.
Serbia, Belgrade.
You walked all the way?
And now finally going down for a change. Going down can be more difficult than going up.
לא יודעת אם זה מספיק דרמטי, אבל אנחנו נחזור על זה.
This is our guest house for tonight in the village of Vusania in Montenegro. This is just round the corner from where we were staying. Montenegro, but the Albanians have been here. This is the spring where all the water comes out from underground. and provides water to the river we just saw with the waterfall.
יעל, אפשר ללכת לגזע לעשות כמה לצלם אותה?
Somebody had to try this.
עזוב, כבר עברת את זה פעם אחת.
Now let's see if he falls off on the way back. Now we start walking and all our large bags go back to Albania on mules. Now we start through the Prokletia National Park, which goes all the way over the mountains into Albania.
Only lake in the Akasat mountains with not cold water.
Okay.
We're heading to Tet,
Hot water, small glass.
Not hot water.
6 hours.
Cold but not very, very, very cold.
We've reached the local swimming pool. We're having a break, but our luggage continues. Some of us were brave enough
שני תא.
Hi. Time.
שלום!
כל הכבוד.
We were in the water. We were like a hippopotam.
תפסנו בזמן חוץ לאחת. היה... אלה הצבעות של הרגל. ויש לך שכנה. יש לך עולה?
now crossing from Montenegro back into Albania. No border crossings here, no passport control, just walk straight past and start climbing. A bit of a change of scenery. Now it's more like rock climbing. Stones everywhere. The whole of this area is covered by underground bunkers like this one, built by the Albanians during the communist period.
They have 3 full-time. This is the small one.
Now at the top, and from here we have about an hour and a half downhill into Tat after we have lunch. Long stony path down. We're now descending into the Tet Valley, 1.5 hours down on a rocky trail. That's the Tet Valley down there. 100% Christian, was never conquered by the Ottomans. And a view along the whole of the Tet Valley. This area must have some of the most spectacular views in the whole of the Balkans.
Look, when I speak in the big voice, the rock just comes.
נו, יעל. כל הכבוד.
אנחנו לא נשבר.
שבחת אותה.
כן.
עד שהתרדה תגיע.
וואה. עכשיו פה מחמיר.
אין לחץ, יעל, אין לחץ.
It's very difficult.
יצירה אומנות שלנו.
מסכנה פרדה.
Now we're just about at the bottom. You can see where we started, which was right up there.
We were near
And then we came down through here, down this way,
נכון, ישבנו
there
בקייב.
we met.
and we zigzagged down all the way.
But from here it looks
Morning in the Tet Valley. This is the view looking from our guest house. This is the guest house itself, Butina Brishta. Today is going to be a relatively easy day, staying in the Tet Valley. This is looking back towards the village of Tet.
usually I tell you in Balkans they're all the religion but they are open, even on the body itself. But this one is more radical.
All the roads in the Tet Valley are like this, stony. There are no paved roads through the whole of the valley.
These two people are more practical in their religion, but here is totally opposite.
This is a sort of a refuge tower. In the past, when you committed a crime and you were worried that someone was going to try and take their revenge on you, you could take sanctuary here for 14 days. Nobody was allowed to come and touch you, during which time you could negotiate with the family or whoever had been hurt by you to try and find a suitable arrangement that would allow you to be released.
Before to start to tell you the story of this kula, I will tell you in this Balkans region what means a kula. A kula, it was a traditional building like this, with stones, and usually with 3 floors. But in some family that are not very rich, they had only with 2 floors. And always the first floor had been for animals. They had like sheep, cows, and at the same time the animals can keep warm the second floor. But it was a special isolated, not like this. It was a special to don't smell the animals down. And the second floor had been for the kitchen to cook and for rooms of the family. And the third floor had been for the guests, a special big room for the guests, especially for the men guests, because the women guests they can come to the second floor to stay with the other women of the family. But men's never can, men's of the village or any other guests, they never can stay to the second floor to the family, because they were very jealous. And also, it was something interesting. The third floor had a special enter from outside to go directly to the third floor.
יופי, כמו הנשוא לפרז'ון בית.
Our host is now playing on the leaf. Now the challenging part. This bridge we go over one at a time, or maybe 1.5 at a time. Not really strong enough for everyone at the same time.
No, I'm fine. The rocks are perfect for that. But you should make
There's always one crazy one in every group. Going there was easy, coming back is not so easy. Power. Looking back the way we came. Now a break for lunch. And what have we here? Swallow's nest. We're now out in Drelisa, freezing cold water. Eran's the only one who was brave enough to go into the water. He stayed in about 10 seconds and came out again. Local recreation, and the new day's climb starts. And we have a horse with us today in case anyone gets really tired, so they can put their bags on the horse. Quick rest after a very strenuous climb. I'm still halfway up only.
Staying at home, come on.
Almost at the top. And if we look over there, we can see where we started this morning.
Not bad.
Wonderful.
This is now the highest point of the mountain pass between the Tet Valley and Valbona. We stopped here for lunch. This is now looking down the other side. We've climbed about 900 meters high in 4 hours. Very strenuous. And that's an understatement. Heading down towards Valbona. This is what we just came down. Doesn't look possible, but we did. This morning we're walking through the Valbona Valley. Had a lot of rain this morning, so we're keeping fairly close to where we're staying. A lot of water here. This used to be the way across the river, not in use anymore, fortunately. This bridge we will be going across. Looks okay. Now getting ready to go from this bus onto this bus. Looks like a floating bus. This is a ferry on Lake Koman. We'll be on this for about 3 hours today. This is the inside. It really looks like a floating bus. Life jackets at the top. Now leaving Firze, heading towards Koman. You pick up people along the way. You come down from the cliffs and the villages, climb over the bridge and join us. Not exactly a real port. At our final destination of Koman. This is one of the 3 dams built along here, which provide 90% of the electricity for the whole of Albania. One of the local car ferries. Some goats going to market. The only way out is through a tunnel 470 meters long, which unfortunately has only enough room for cars in one direction. So we can't get out of here until they finish loading up the ferries that are taking the vehicles going the other way. Now almost half a kilometer of tunnel to get out of here. This tunnel now driving along a typical Albanian highway. The view makes up for it. The Chinese built the dams, the Albanians built the roads. Local aquaculture, fish farm.
Yes, there are 3 big dams and 1 down there.
Just had lunch at what is supposedly one of the best restaurants in Albania. It's on a farm. They grow all their own food here. They make their own wine, cheese, vegetables they grow here, everything. We're now visiting the factory. During the communist period, this was a jail, and now it's been changed into a factory where they prepare all their food products, milk products, dairy, fruit, meat, everything. This is where they're making the cheese. Fortunately, I can't film the smell. All these jars are making liqueurs of different sorts, even with pine cones. We're now in the fruit section. Blueberries. They get cooked and then into the jars. And the meat products. Great gardening ideas here as well. Oh. really want, you can rent a room here. This is the view from the window. Wooden building, very nice. The cost, including breakfast, about 40 euros a night for a couple. And this is the restaurant from inside. We just had a full 5-course meal here for about $15. Friday morning, the last day of our trip. We spent the last night in a beautiful, picturesque small town of Kruja, which I'm showing you now from my room at the hotel. From here we go on to Tirana, get a few shots of the town itself, and then back home until next year's trek. This is the central square in Tirana. The Ethnographic Museum. Opera House. This is a statue of Skandur, the greatest Albanian hero, fought against the Ottomans at the beginning of the 20th century. There's a statue here in the main square. We're now entering the Bunkalt Museum, which is where they have a system of underground bunkers below all the government buildings in the communist time. All these individual rooms were part of the underground bunkers. They're now a museum showing the whole of the history of the Albanian people. This is a remembrance room to those who were killed during the communist period. Lists and lists of names. Back out in the streets again. A lot of building going on around here. The country's developing rapidly. Another theatre. Really not quite what I expected of Albania. That just about sums it all up.